What happens when a step-parent crosses a line? Today, we're going to dive into a story that really exposes the fragile trust inside a blended family. And believe it or not, it was all sparked by a single private text message on an 8-year-old's phone.
So we're jumping right in at the boiling point, a really tense confrontation. But here's the twist. This isn't between the adults, it's between a step-parent and a child.
Just think about that for a second. These are the words a 32-year-old woman said to her partner's 8-year-old daughter. And she said this after secretly going through the child's phone, reading a private conversation the little girl was having with her own mom. An adult policing a child's bond with her other parent.
So yeah, that's the big question, right? How does a family situation get to a point where an adult is confronting a child over a private text? To really understand that, we need to rewind a bit and look at the backstory.
You know, this whole confrontation didn't just come out of nowhere. It was actually the result of a pattern, a history of insecurity and tension that had been simmering for a long time, and it created this really fragile environment at home.
So the father in this story describes his girlfriend of 3 years as, and I'm quoting here, terribly insecure. He points to a really tough past and a challenging relationship with her own mother as part of the reason why. And here's the crucial link. This deep-seated insecurity seemed to flare up most intensely whenever he did simple, normal co-parenting things for his daughter.
Let's trace how this tension just kept ramping up. What started as this kind of background hum of insecurity, well, it got a lot louder through a series of specific incidents. Small, seemingly minor events started to snowball, each one adding more weight, until the whole situation just reached its breaking point.
Okay, so check out the contrast here. The action, a father simply drops his daughter's forgotten lunchbox on her mom's mailbox. Super simple act of co-parenting, right? But the reaction was, whoa, it was intense. An accusation that he'll jump to do anything for his ex but nothing for her. This shows you exactly how a small practical task was seen as a huge personal betrayal.
And the pattern just kept going, but this time it put the child right in the middle. The 8-year-old was on a trampoline and excitedly asked her dad to film her doing a flip to show her mom, a totally innocent request. But the girlfriend's reaction weaponized it. She framed that moment as the reason the adults were fighting, essentially teaching this little girl that her relationship with her own mom was a threat to her dad's new relationship.
So all of this history, this simmering tension, it all sets the stage for the main event. And the catalyst, the thing that finally made it all blow up, it wasn't some huge fight or a major betrayal. It was just a simple, private text message exchange between the 8-year-old girl and her mother.
All right, so this is the conversation that lit the fuse. It starts with the mom giving a simple reminder about some toys. The daughter then says something that is such a normal kid thing to say. She just wants some space to play by herself. And the mom's response is simple and totally appropriate. Talk to your dad. That's it. There's no conspiracy here, no bad-mouthing, just a typical parent-child exchange.
So let's be crystal clear about what this message really is. It is not some malicious secret or a plot against the family. It's an 8-year-old kid expressing a completely normal desire for a little bit of personal space to play with her toys her own way.
Okay, now let's turn to the girlfriend's response. What she did next wasn't just a reaction, it was a series of deliberate choices. Choices that completely shattered the trust in that household and crossed a major line.
See, this wasn't a single impulsive act. It was a calculated sequence of events. First, the access. She picked up the phone that was just left on the counter. The parental controls later confirmed the messaging app was open just 10 minutes after the dad left for work. Then, the silence. She held on to this information, saying nothing to her partner for the entire day. And finally, the confrontation. She made the choice to bypass the parent completely and go directly to the 8-year-old child.
And the confrontation wasn't just a simple scolding. The absolutely crucial point here is that she put the weight of the adult's relationship problems squarely on the shoulders of an 8-year-old. She explicitly told this little girl that her private messages to her own mother were the reason the adults in her life couldn't get along.
This story, as personal and specific as it is, really forces us to zoom out, because what happened here isn't just about one insecure girlfriend. It's a window into the complex, often unwritten rules of blended family life.
At the very heart of this conflict is this idea of the reasonable expectation of privacy. We all kind of assume our private conversations will stay private, right? But does that right extend to a child in their own home? Especially when they're communicating with their other biological parent and the person reading the message is a step-parent? And that's really the dilemma we're left with. It is not a simple question with an easy answer. In a blended family, a step-parent is often expected to be an authority figure, but they aren't the parent. So where is the line? This story shows us that when insecurity drives a step-parent to breach a child's trust with their actual parent, the entire family structure is put at risk. It forces all of us to ask, what boundaries are we willing to defend for the children caught in the middle?